thought just crossed my mind while I was talking to our current guest, and uh, the other day I had a candidate say that every election season is like a job interview, but lately it's been more on the program like auditions. But it's interesting that some of these people that I'm talking to, audition really doesn't fit either because they've been in the political realm for a number of years, so they don't necessarily. It's not like they're brand new to all of this. And of course, our current guest is one of those people who's been, how shall we put it, working hard for many, many years for his party as well as in public office. Charlie Howell, thank
That's
you.
true. Thank you. I appreciate being here.
We want to mention, of course, you're a veteran of the county commissioners in Jerome County,
This is my 12th year. That's correct.
and
Yep.
Tomorrow, of course, you get to do another one of these.
That's true.
And then I think, what is it, a week from Wednesday night, you've got another one coming up.
Correct. And then a realtors, the Magic Valley Realtors are having a luncheon next Tuesday at the Turf Club that we get to go interview at also. So
we were just talking off air about how no one, I don't think anyone really expected it so much on the local and county levels that we would see so many primaries this year. Randy Staples jokes it's because we don't have many Democrats, so the only way to get ahead is to run in a primary. But you've been at this a long time, and I think that after 12 years, you could say, giving a sales pitch is something you've probably gotten used to. But when people do ask you, when you go to these places, why do you want to do this again? What are you telling them?
Well, it's not very politically correct, but I just say I'm too stubborn to leave it in the hands that if I decided to step down, that would step up and take it. So I'm not willing to do that. So they're not bringing anything to the table. They're not improving on anything. And so why should I step down? And part of that's my own fault because I'm too stubborn to say I'm going to retire.
I keep hearing those remarks from the challengers saying that, out of all of our counties, Jerome is nearly dead last, and they'll give a group of categories
Right.
and the like.
Yeah.
Does that represent the entire picture?
It does not. I mean, that's not even close. We have the lowest unemployment rate, less than 3% in Jerome County. We just brought in several new companies that obviously people don't understand. Hilux Poly just expanded. Wow Logistics just put on another 100,000 square feet of storage. We're bringing in a foot bath company down in the south by Auto Milk Products. The number of businesses, we're trying to get another urban renewal district out by Flying J. And that's one thing I'm very proud of is Jerome County has the only urban renewal district sponsored in a county in the state of Idaho. We were the very first to do that back when Commissioner Davidson was in there. He spearheaded that program, and we're trying to get another one going, and Commissioner Morley's on that board. And then we've reorganized with the 2020 group, and that is a great partnership. A third of the funding comes from the county, a third of the county funding comes from the city, and the other third is sponsored and recruited by the members of the board from the private enterprise. To me, that's how government needs to work. You got to have those partnerships. The city of Jerome and the city and the county are working hand in hand, just like downtown Main Street. I heard that was brought up. We've got a local businessman that wants to develop that corner right where CSI building is and where the burn happened 4 or 5 years ago. And then the city wants to develop the piece of property they bought that is directly west of the courthouse into low-income housing. And we're all supporting that and working together. And that's the whole point, in my opinion, of the government.
In fact, I mentioned yesterday when one of the candidates was in that to me, when I drive through, I could just get the impression that buildings are still structurally sound. It just looks like we need a little more paint at times.
Yes.
And I said, is there something systemic behind that I'm missing?
Well, I think it's the outflux. I mean, just like we had a King's Variety store and they left because quote, quote, Walmart came in. But yet, if you go and shop your local people, there's an appliance store there in Jerome. They can be just as competitive with anybody in Twin Falls. But it's become a transit group, I guess, if you want to say. And it's easier to drive to Twin and do it there all in one thing than if you just go to one shop there.
I was going to say, if people work in Twin Falls, which a lot of them do.
Yes.
Then on the way home, they stop for their...
Correct.
Right.
Yep. Understand that. Yeah.
And running again, I think that probably when you do this, it's because you see obviously some perhaps solutions and have some ideas in your head that can continue to help with a turnaround.
Well, I'm not really much of a coach. I'm more of a team player. And so just like the 2020, I fit in there very good to bring in that government side of it and a personal side of it. I've been in business for most of my life. Been in a partnership for 27 years, and that's harder than being married. But I have a great partner, so I appreciate that. It allows me to do this. But I I just foster the other ideas and help support them where we can, bring in different points of view, and that's how I try to do it. Do I come in and create ideas? Yeah, there are a few. I pushed very hard to get in partnership with St. Luke's on the ambulance service. We've improved that. I know there's a lot of rumors in the town of Jerome. Well, now we've only got 2 ambulances, but our response time is so much better. And what they didn't understand is that it's correct. We had 2 ambulances sitting there, but one of them wasn't staffed. And so then you had to wait 20 minutes for that staff to come in, pick up that ambulance. Now with the rotation system that we've worked out with St. Luke's, and it was their idea, we have a faster response time when that first ambulance goes out either to Eden, Hazelton, or Jerome. Then the other ambulances rotate around, so we actually have a quicker recovery time and the stages at Flying J. Then on the Eden Hazelton area, now they're responding out of the Red Cap corner, I believe they call that. Uh, Rock Creek Fire has an EMS crew, and they mutual
Huge
aid.
district too. Yeah.
Absolutely, and they come over to the Eden Hazelton area as a mutual response, and we didn't have that before. Plus, we get the ambulance out of the east end, I'm sorry, of Twin Falls, and that provides a quicker response time to the Eden Hazelton area. So we've worked a lot in those areas, and those are kind of my expertise. Been on the Jerome Rural Volunteer Fire Department for 27 years, so pretty familiar with that kind of stuff. So
I
it's
One thing I've noticed, everyone I've been talking to who comes from Jerome County,
yeah,
uh, and in Twin Falls they make the jokes, but of course in Boise they
sure,
make the jokes about Twin Falls,
sure,
and in Coeur d'Alene they make the jokes about Boise. But everyone that I meet generally seems to be an upbeat person. So there's
yeah.
something about life in Jerome County that people. I mean, personally, what is it that you like about it there?
Well, I've lived there most of my life. I did move out for a few years, but I think it's just my outlook on life. You can walk down the street and know everybody, and that's not true anymore because there's so many new people. But everybody's friendly. If you stop and say hi, everybody talks to you. If you go to the coffee shops, they invite you to come over and sit down. And then after they learn your politics, they may throw you out. But, but I laugh because the afternoon coffee shop that I attend once in a while has 2 Democrats on it, so we have a good time with them. So uh, we laugh there. But I I don't know. Grew up there. My mom told me to be friendly and say hi to everybody, and I try that in my real life.
We talk a little bit about the growth in the valley, and I think that is a concern because right now you've got some people who don't really want to see it grow, and you've got other
True.
people who think it needs to grow, and you've got a lot of headbutting going on about that.
Exactly. I had one of my neighbors tell me, and he's very strong and voices his opinion. He says, every time you bring in a business, it costs me money. And to a certain extent, I understand where he's coming from. We try to give them incentives to bring a company in. We gave Hilex Poly, that's why they expanded here. The county gave them an incentive. The urban renewals do give them incentives, and that always comes out, the back door of your taxes. But it does, to a certain extent, it does. But yet you've got to have that growth because we don't have the people to fill the jobs now, so you've got to have the other people.
Working in government, what is it you tell companies if you're trying to attract them to come to Jerome County? I mean, obviously there's some highlights you're looking at.
Exactly, and we stress the same thing that they did with Chobani and Clip Bar. It's a lifestyle. It is just absolutely fabulous. I mean, I ride horses. I ride down the canyon. When you take new people into the canyon, they can't believe it. It's just such an awesome tribute that you have in your asset that you have in your backyard. So it is the lifestyle. Everybody's friendly again. The living costs are reasonable. Most of the roads are reasonable, except for this time of year. And so I
Smell
think
of business, by the way.
yeah. Well, we laughed. There was a comment on Facebook the other day of why is the worst road in Jerome County right in front of the highway district? Well, the ironic part of that is that's owned by the city. So, and they're doing their best. Don't get me wrong, but it is a lifestyle. Yeah, there's nothing you can't do here within an hour or two that you can do anywhere else back east. Nothing.
Charlie Howell is our guest, and of course he's here representing the Jerome County Commissioners and seeking a re-election, and he's involved in a primary battle coming up on May 17th. Do you have a moment for a call?
I do.
It's 9:16, and you're on the air on KLIX.
Yes, I really appreciate the fact that Jerome County has tried to preserve the canyon rim on the north side. I would like to see it develop more, and off-road vehicles, even though I four-wheel drive, etc., restricted from just going wherever they please. Okay, that was one point. Being a Jerome County resident, we pay taxes for the transfer station out here at the dump, to dispose of waste. Yet when you go in over there with a load of something they don't like, you're charged extra to dump it. I mean, a bale of straw, you're charged to dump a pickup load of old straw that they just grind up into compost mulch.
Do you want to pose that as a question for a moment?
Go ahead and address it. Yes.
Well, the Canyon Parks and that's kind of one of my pet projects. That's why I said that was after my success with the jail. I'm going to go on and try to jumpstart that Snake River Canyons Park. But the biggest problem there is shooting. I mean, how can you have a park if you're going to allow shooting? And and we took a lot of heat, or I did a couple of years ago, and I said it's in our lease to get rid of it. We just need to figure out how to get that done and where to send the shooters, because I'm a shooter myself. So, and that is a good point. Most of our canyon rim is privately owned. They have not developed it, and the wishes of the people on that park when it got developed, minus the Idaho Department of Lands part, is not to develop it. They want to keep it natural, and that's what that park was intended for: off-road vehicles, horse riding, backpacking, walking, anything you wanted to do out there. Basically, what you see now is what the park was intended to look like in 10 years. So we're going to work on that one. So as far as the landfill goes, that's always a problem, because what you do on your taxes, and it's not a tax, even though it is, it's a fee. And we all laugh at that. Yeah, it's just another fee. But they charge you on your land, on your private property. And then if you have a dumpster, they charge you on that side. So then that part is paid for. And so when you haul stuff out there, they consider it to be above and beyond what you're allowed to do with your regular dumpster stuff service. So then they do charge you for that. And it is prorated. And we tried to get everybody together. Twin Falls, it's a 8-county district that funds that. And so we tried to get all the fees the same. So Jerome did increase their fees a little bit, but it's the recommendation to keep everything the same, because Twin Falls could come over and dump at Jerome and not get charged, or they could just take it out to the park and dump it again. So that's why the landfill.
Want to thank you for the call. And before we wrap up, is there a way people can check out your campaign, a web presence or Facebook page, or?
You and I talked about that earlier. I'm not much of a campaigner. You can see me on Facebook, but I don't put any politics on Facebook. I might start here in the next couple of weeks, because I get tired of it myself. But I really don't. Call me 308-1768, my cell number. Everybody's got it. It's a personal phone, but take any kind of business you want to talk about. And I do get frustrated at work because I'm an electrician, but stop work and quit using my hands to talk on the phone, but I'm more than willing to do it. So I don't have a website. I don't know. Just never did that.
It reminds me a little bit of Jack Johnson's Facebook page. It's all really about horses and dogs.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. If I can make somebody laugh during the day, that's my prime goal in life. So.
And I'll see you tomorrow morning, by the way.
Absolutely. Great. Looking forward to the Lincoln Day fundraiser. It'll be fun. Good meal.
I want to thank you for coming by today. Charlie Howell, of course, an incumbent member of the Jerome County Board of Commissioners. It's 20 minutes after 9 o'clock, 47. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com.